Well, you know, I don't have to talk to the guys in the room because they've got the mindset and the mentality. I talk to the young guys, keep up. You know, I tell those guys to keep up. You know, when they come in, they're going to be exposed to a work ethic that they've never been exposed to before. You know, we've had guys that have been around here. Obviously, you guys are, everybody knows about Deshaun's work ethic. His work ethic, I think, changed this whole program because it started with him, and now it's about 20 to 30 guys that are getting extra work, and they're committed to their craft. So I think Deshaun's a program changer when it comes to that. But to see where we've built the work ethic in that room, you know, it's competitive. So those young guys that are coming in, the Justin Shorters, the Daniel Georges, the Jahan Dotsons, those guys got to keep up. They're very, very talented young players, but talent's only going to take you so far. Work ethic is going to continue to push to keep you at that same level. So those guys are going to have a challenge themselves to keep up with the older guys and how hard they work and their devotion to their craft as far as not only their body, but their technique and fundamentals.
You guys had to reset your quarterback recruiting about halfway through this process, and you can't get into specifics, but in general, what kind of ripple effect does it have on offensive recruiting as a whole?
You know what? It didn't really affect ours. You know, the good thing for us is we had a really, really good staple of skilled players to sell to quarterbacks. You know, when you look at it, you know, we had Ricky Slade committed, we had Kuntz committed, we had Freiermuth committed, we had Justin Shorter. Heck, if I was a quarterback, I would have been running here. So, you know, we're excited about Will. Will's a guy that we had on our radar for a long time, guy we evaluated for a long time. He's a guy that, like I spoke about earlier, went to a bunch of camps, and every place he's been, he's gotten offers. So he came to camp for us, you know, tested extremely well, threw the ball extremely well, and one of the neat things for us is when he came to camp, we had our skill guys there, you know, so he's throwing to some of those guys that are in our commitment class. He was throwing to Kuntz and Pat and stuff, so we feel very, very confident that we've built a dynamic offensive recruiting class that's going to be able to score a lot of points and win a lot of games for us in the future.
And following up on that, you had another reset late in the process with Juggling in Mississippi State. What was that like to sell that back to those guys? Is it basically the same thing?
Well, you know what, you know, it wasn't quite as hard, and that's nothing against Joe, because I think, you know, a lot of those kids were excited to play for Joe, but they believed in what we had as a program. They believed in the offense that we ran. They believed in Coach Franklin. So, you know, that's the thing that was really neat about this deal is those guys that were committed, they had been committed for over a year, you know, so it's kind of hard to kind of change your mindset when you fell in love with a place for so long. If some of those guys had been wavering or some of those guys had been committed for weeks, we probably would have felt a little bit of an impact, but we were very confident with the relationships that we had as a staff, even with the families, that we were going to hold on to these guys, and they love Penn State. Those guys, you know, this class, probably more than any class we've had, takes tremendous pride in coming to Penn State. You know, they've got a special bond that that stands out among themselves, and they're excited to play with each other.
James alluded to it. Justin committed early, was a 5-star, went up the rankings, but no drama. Was that something that maybe you found a little bit odd watching it last year, especially?
You know, no, because you know, Justin's an unbelievable kid. We had a great relationship. You know, he committed here before we even won a Big Ten championship. You know, heading into that year where there were some question marks, you know, as far as performance-wise for us, and he had faith in us. He believed in us. He saw the vision that we were building. We told him, hey, by this year we're going to be a very, very good team, and then we go out and win a Big Ten championship, and then just continually to spend time with him. And he's a rare story because he didn't visit anywhere else. You know, a bunch of teams, and every team in the country came in after him, and teams most recent, and he stood by us. And so, you know, I've got the utmost respect for him and his family, and that's why we value him so much, not just as a player, but as a person, because of the faith he's had in us, and as well as all those guys, Ricky Slade and Zach Kuntz, and you know, guys like that have been, you know, part of our program, have been committed to us for well over a year going into it.
Can you compare the first year you guys were here going out on the road and recruiting to now?
Yeah, well, now we got a lot more show. You know, our first year we kind of sold kids on the vision, and let me say this: you know, we walked into a great first-year class. You know, you're talking about, you know, Ryan Buckholz's, the Saquon Barkley's, the you know, you name it, the Ryan Bates, the Juwan Johnsons. That first class that we walked into was phenomenal, and you see a lot of those guys winning games for us on Saturdays. But we sold those guys on a vision then, and now we're able to come in and, you know, we're showing them, hey, 2 years in a row undefeated at home. We've won a Big Big Ten championship. We've competing on the national stage to position ourselves for national championships. So now it's all about finishing that vision. We've showed that the plan works, the vision works. Now we got to continue to sustain our classes and continue to sustain our roster to compete at that high level. And we're excited about this class. We feel like this is a complete class full of playmakers, probably one of the most talented classes, that we'll have, in the past few years. But we're excited. We're going to keep recruiting, and keep developing these young men. So we're excited about what the future brings for Penn State football.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.